So jumping right into the Maverick MACD. So once you go ahead and add it to your chart, this is what it should look like by default. And I know many of you probably have already used the MACD. You use the MACD a lot in your trading. It's one of the most popular indicators, and for good reason. It is very useful to see what's going on with price and where it might go in the future. So this indicator, it's really a beefed up version of the normal MACD. It's doing several things that really take it to the next level in terms of just functionality from the normal MACD. So we can see we have these green and red dots, and all that's doing is it's just showing us where the MACD line is crossing over the signal line. So I'm going to go ahead and add the normal MACD to our chart just so we can see it for reference. So the MACD line is going to be that blue line. So the MACD lines are blue line, the signal line is our orange line. And when that blue line, the MACD line crosses over the signal line, that's considered a bullish sign. And we can see here on the normal MACD, we don't get any kind of signal or anything. In fact, I'm not even sure that they allow you to create alerts. Let's see real quick. Yeah, I guess they kind of do. Actually, no, they really don't. So you can't even get alerts on the normal MACD for bullish or bearish signs, whereas our MACD you can. So anytime I want to receive, let's say, an alert when the MACD line crosses over the signal line, that's considered a bullish alert, and I can receive not only a green dot on my chart, but I can also receive a bullish or bearish cross. So we can see here, a bullish cross is when the MACD line crosses over the signal line and just hit once per bar close, and say where you want to send that alert to. One thing I also wanted to mention is that these alerts are already, we call them smart alerts, because they actually will already include the price in the ticker and the exchange. And so rather than just saying, bullish cross, it actually has all that information already baked into the alert when you go to create this. So if you wanted to go ahead and send that to your phone, send it to your email, or wherever TradingView lets you send it, that's already baked in. So super cool feature there. I think you guys will really appreciate that. So that's kind of the first main thing of this indicator. Let me just jump in here and see. So another main feature of this indicator that I think really a lot of you will really like is divergence. So what is divergence? I'm not going to cover it in depth in this video. Maybe I'll make a later video. There's lots of good videos on YouTube of divergence, but basically it's when price is going one way and the indicator is going another way. So we can see here divergence is represented with lines on the chart, and this is how a normal trader will draw divergence. What they'll do is they'll look for a point where price is making, let's say in this case, a higher high, okay, and the indicator is making, in this case, a lower high. So if we actually, let me just close out of this for a second. So if we see here, our histogram from this point to this point is going lower, where price is actually going higher. So this is actually considered a bearish divergence, okay, because our indicator is telling us, it's going lower, and price is telling us it's going higher. So it's considered bearish divergence. You can think of, one way I like to think of it, if you're used to trading Bollinger Bands, it's kind of like it's like, I don't know if I want to make this analogy exactly, but it's kind of like it's reaching the outer Bollinger Band and now it's coming back. So basically, like prices, or the histogram is kind of, it's out of sync with one another, and typically we'll see a reversion to the mean. And that actually does not happen in this case. So we have bearish divergence, but price actually continues higher. And so you don't want to trade just off divergence as a signal alone. It's kind of, you want to use it in confluence with other factors when you're trading. But basically here we can see that we have that divergence, and it's automatically represented on our chart. And again, we can receive alerts for divergence. So just go to Maverick MACD, and then we can receive all different types of divergence. So there's actually a difference between regular divergence and hidden divergence. And I believe by default, the only one that's enabled is, Yeah, so regular divergence. So if you want to show hidden divergence, just check that box, and you can check it for either the MACD, the line, or the histogram. Okay, so either or. If you want to, like, let's say I just want to I only want to see divergence, regular divergence for the MACD histogram. I just uncheck everything except for that, and that's all I'll see. If I want to if I want to see every single kind of divergence, I just check that. And now we also have something called divergence labels. So all that does is if we have multiple different types of divergence on our chart, it'll tell us whether it's regular or hidden. So that can be kind of a nice feature. If we're looking at all different types of divergence at once, we can distinguish between which is which. Or you could just disable one, either or, whichever one you kind of prefer. But you definitely want to know which is which because they do mean different things. And again, I'm not going to cover that in this particular video, but definitely know the difference between regular and hidden divergence. It can be a little tricky at times to understand, but important to know. So we also have divergence circles, which all that is, it's kind of like this circle here on the MACD line cross. It shows you where the actual divergence occurred. And so it's just a visual representation on your chart. This is where you would actually receive the alert. Anyway, that's basically it for this indicator. Another thing I want to mention, a couple other things actually. Number one is you can actually use a different time frame than what is the default set. So if I wanted to actually find divergence on the daily chart, I just hit day and then uncheck this box. And then now it's actually looking for divergence on the daily chart, which is super cool. Feature to have if I want to trade, if I want a base decision, if I want to trade on like the let's say 30-minute, but I want to actually look at the MACD on a longer time frame. It's a simple feature, but it's really powerful, and sometimes simple is powerful. So one other feature that I'd like to point out is the shade background feature. So what this does is, and let me go back to the normal time frame so we can see here. So what this does is it just shows us where the histogram is in a negative zone or a positive zone. It's basically just showing us the histogram. So if it's a positive histogram, it's going to show as green, negative is red, and it's as simple as that. Another thing I want to mention is the color of the line. So the color of the line, it's not based off the histogram. It's actually based off just the slope of the line itself. So we can see here, let me go, okay, this is kind of a good example. So if the slope of the MACD line, so it has nothing to do with the histogram. I could even, let's see, I could remove that actually if I wanted to. So if I wanted to remove the histogram, so what it does is it just shows you if it's an upward or downward sloping line. So see how this green, it's upward sloping, and then it turns to red because it starts to go downward sloping. And then we get the cross here, and then again that red circle, and we could get an alert for that as well. So again, another nice feature to have. You can see it here again, downward sloping, and then it starts to become upward sloping, and it turns to green. So just kind of a nice feature to have. It shows you, the slope of the line. So anyway, I think that's basically it for this indicator. Let us know if you have any questions. You can play around with the settings yourself. You can change it around if you want. And yeah, so hopefully you guys really enjoy this one. I know I use it all the time. I love the MACD, and I use it a lot. So anyway, without getting too long of a video here, I'll wrap it up, but let us know if you have any questions.